Your roadmap to the latest in auto. Welcome to Highway Herald. Trade friction is roaring back across North America. And this time, it's more than just tariffs and tough talk. It's a full-throttle showdown that could redefine Canada's automotive identity. Washington is revving up a "build it here" agenda. Beijing is dangling tariff relief like a shiny new concept car. And Ottawa finds itself in the driver's seat of a geopolitical drag race. As Prime Minister Mark Carney juggles negotiations with both superpowers, the road ahead could decide the fate of factories, farmers, and the future of electric mobility. From Windsor's assembly lines to Saskatchewan's canola fields, the ripple effects are massive. And these are the defining turns in Canada's trade track. America's power play, redefining the auto lane. The spark came from U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who took the stage in Toronto and hit full throttle. America's auto industry, he declared, comes first, always. His no-nonsense warning, no trade deals without tariffs, and no shared assembly lines, shook a system that had hummed in perfect cross-border rhythm for half a century. For decades, car parts zipped across the border like synchronized pistons before final assembly. Lutnick's hardline stance cracked that engine block wide open. Ontario Premier Doug Ford called it a direct threat, warning that thousands of jobs in Windsor, Oshawa, and Oakville could seize up if automakers shifted production south. Prime Minister Mark Carney's team scrambled to regain traction, launching tariff relief talks with both Washington and Beijing. Yet the loss of momentum was unmistakable. America was shifting gears, from partnership to dominance. Ottawa retaliated by tightening GM and Stellantis quota exemptions after domestic cutbacks, a clear message that Canada wouldn't idle. But the warning light glowed. Canada's industrial engine risked overheating under rising economic nationalism. But Washington's aggressive stance was only the first curve in this trade circuit. Canada's next move would mirror its neighbor, though that loyalty came at a high cost. Canada's echo move, loyalty at a cost. Instead of paving its own path, Ottawa chose to follow Washington's lead. In October 2024, Canada imposed a 100% tariff on Chinese-made EVs, echoing Trump's policy rather than protecting its own consumers. Officials framed it as a national security measure meant to defend domestic manufacturers from subsidized imports. But that move quickly backfired. Affordable Chinese EVs, priced under $25,000 in Asia, shot past $55,000 in Canada. Beijing retaliated with identical tariffs on Canadian canola and meat, freezing billions in exports and leaving prairie farmers stranded. Former NDP leader Tom Mulcair summed it up. Canada didn't start this trade war, we copied it. The result? EV prices soared, agricultural markets cratered, and Washington's appreciation never came. By mid-2025, Tesla's share slipped, plants faced layoffs, and U.S. automakers tightened control of production. Even as Prime Minister Carney sought partial tariff relief, critics argued Canada was idling without a clear trade strategy, one that served both workers and consumers. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to subscribe to Highway Herald. Your support fuels our passion for delivering top-gear automotive stories and sharp global insights every week. As Canada struggled to keep pace with Washington's protectionism, a new contender entered the race: Beijing, with an offer too strategic to ignore. China's counteroffer, tariff relief with strings attached. Amid the smoke of tariff crossfire, Beijing made its pitch. Ambassador Wang Di extended an olive branch: scrap the 100% EV tariff, and China would reopen its markets to Canadian canola, meat, and seafood. For prairie farmers, watching export revenue nosedive 76% year over year, the offer glimmered like sunlight on polished chrome. But this was no simple trade-in. Accepting the deal risked a collision with Washington's anti-China campaign. On the consumer side, the gains were tempting. Brands like BYD, NIO, and XPeng could flood the market with affordable long-range EVs, jolting Canada's electrification efforts. Yet skeptics warned that lifting tariffs could invite an onslaught of subsidized imports, drowning out local innovation. Caught between alliance and autonomy, Carney has kept his foot hovering over the brake. Negotiations continue, wrapped in cautious diplomatic phrasing about issues of respective sensitivity. Beneath that phrasing lies the true test. Will Canada keep drafting behind foreign powers, or finally steer its own line on the global trade circuit? That delicate balancing act brings us to the next chapter: Canada's search for independence in an era where every economic decision feels like a high-speed turn. Crossroads of power, Canada's push for independence. Canada is caught between two economic powerhouses pulling in opposite directions. The US offers an established, integrated market, but demands unwavering loyalty, while China tempts with tariff relief, cheaper EVs, and renewed agricultural trade, though shadowed by political risk. Economists warn that simply mirroring Washington's trade playbook has stalled progress, limiting consumer options and pushing production abroad. Meanwhile, Europe, Mexico, and Asia are accelerating in the EV race, building factories and refining lithium faster than North America. Experts argue it's time for Canada to steer independently. Rather than blanket tariffs, Ottawa could target unfairly subsidized imports while inviting competitive players, perhaps even encouraging Chinese automakers like BYD or NIO to build assembly plants domestically. Using Canadian steel and labor could create jobs, boost technology transfer, and strengthen climate goals. Agriculture Minister Heath MacDonald has hinted the government's EV tariff stance may now be outdated. With Carney balancing talks between Washington and Beijing, Canada's mission is clear: reduce dependency, stay globally connected, and reclaim control of its economic destiny. But independence always comes at a cost. And as the dust settles, some sectors win big, while others struggle to stay on the road. Shifting gears: who wins, who loses, and what lies ahead. Trade wars rarely end smoothly, and Canada's automotive scars prove it. GM halted BrightDrop EV production in Ontario. Stellantis moved Jeep Compass assembly to the US, and Ottawa retaliated by cutting their tariff-free import quotas by up to 50%. A sharp reminder that federal incentives hinge on protecting Canadian jobs. Yet one unexpected winner emerged: local wineries. The Buy Canadian movement, fueled by frustration over tariffs, boosted domestic wine sales by over 70% as retailers replaced US bottles with homegrown labels. It showed how economic nationalism can sometimes ferment local pride and profit. For most Canadians, however, car prices remain sky-high. Blocking Chinese EV competition has kept affordable models out of reach. Experts believe reducing tariffs could slash EV costs by 20 to 30% and help Canada meet its 2035 zero-emission goals. The broader lesson? Reliance on one superpower leaves Canada vulnerable. True resilience lies in diversification, balancing alliances, fostering local innovation, and steering confidently toward industrial independence in a shifting global economy. And that brings us to the verdict, the defining moment that will determine whether Canada follows or forges its own path. Verdict: turning point. Canada's trade engine at the crossroads. Canada's future now hangs in the balance, caught between the gravitational pull of the US and the lucrative promise of China's markets. Every tariff, every negotiation reverberates through assembly plants, farmlands, and family budgets. The old model of mirroring Washington offered predictability, but also stagnation. A new, balanced model could bring uncertainty, but also sovereignty and strength. The coming months will define whether Canada remains a secondary player in someone else's production line or reclaims the driver's seat as a global leader in clean energy, advanced manufacturing, and mobility innovation. The gears are engaged, the world's watching. So which way will Canada turn? Follow or forge ahead? Now, let's hear from you. Do you think Canada should break from Washington's trade path and craft its own strategy? Would you support Chinese EV assembly in Canada if it meant cheaper cars and more jobs? Can true neutrality exist in today's global auto economy? Or will alliances always steer the wheel? Share your thoughts below. Your opinions drive these conversations. If you found this video insightful, be sure to subscribe to Highway Herald for the latest vehicle updates and in-depth analyses. Your support helps us bring you the best in automotive content. Thanks for watching and see you next time. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's more exciting and informative content waiting for you.